getting my husband to drop the divorce scheme. They say that all's well that ends well, but who defines what is well? Here's an example. I find out my wife is an unfaithful cheater, throw her out on the street, and get rid of her. That ends well for me, right? Then why am I so unhappy? It all started 6 months ago when I married my secretary. Hillary was hired by my body. The day she showed up for her interview and walked into my office, my brains shot straight to my body and said, "You have been hired," before we even said hello to each other. She was a tall woman, 5'9", with a body to die for, 36, 22, 34, as I found out later. She had an angelic face and long blonde hair that hung down to the middle of her back. When she sat down in front of me and crossed her impossibly long legs, I had only one question to ask. When can you start? I asked other questions. How many words per minute she could type, how proficient she was at shorthand, and how familiar she was with the computer programs I mentioned. To this day, I don't even remember her answers to those questions, but they didn't matter because I wasn't going to pass her up, even if she didn't know how to do any of those things. Luckily, she turned out to be an excellent typist, could write dictation, and was great on the computer. 9 months later, we were married. And after another 6 months, I started seeing and hearing things that led me to believe that Hillary wasn't so faithful to me. At first, I didn't hear anything. Guys would stand around talking but would shut up when I approached, or they would see me approaching, and the group would quickly disperse. One day, I walked into the men's restroom and caught the end of a conversation that immediately stopped when I entered. I only heard 3 words, "It's Hillary," before Ron and Bert saw me, zipped up and left. I started watching Hillary but never saw anything out of the ordinary and wrote it off to an overactive imagination. It wasn't until I tapped into the conference room that I heard something definitive. I had several subgroups working on different projects, and they were using the conference room for team meetings. I was tired of them coming to my office to have me come to the conference room to answer some nonsense question, so I decided to just set up an intercom system. If they need my involvement, they can just call me and I can answer their questions without leaving my office. I installed the system and then ran a few tests to make sure it was working properly. The last time I checked the connection between the room and my office and it was working fine, but I forgot to turn it off when I left the room. I was sitting in my office putting some papers away when Steve, Mike, Al, and Joe came into the room. Mike asked where Bob was and Joe laughed. "Where do you think he is? He's trying to get Hillary settled for tomorrow when Chuck goes out of town." There was no mistaking who they were talking about. I was the only Chuck working for this company. In fact, I owned it. And I was the only one with a wife named Hillary, and I was leaving town the next day on a 2-day business trip. "Why aren't you trying?" asked Mike to Joe. "I wanted to, but she said she wanted to try someone new." There were a few laughs, and then Al said, "That means I won't have anything for a while yet." "I wonder if Chuck will have one," said Mike, and Al laughed again and said, "When is she going to nail him?" And they all laughed. Just then, Bob came into the room and asked what was so funny. "We were just wondering if Chuck ever makes love to his wife." "I don't know about Chuck, but I know exactly who will tomorrow." "You dog," Al said. "Get ready to party." Steve picked up on that. "For the party? What do you mean?" "She gets to enjoy having sex with other men while she's on the phone with Chuck." "No shit? Do you think Chuck knows?" "I know for a fact he doesn't. Hillary tells everyone she makes love to never do anything that could tip Chuck off. She says that if she gets the slightest inkling that he might suspect anything, everyone will be done for good. You'll get that speech tomorrow before she's with you, and she's serious. So know this. If you mess up the rest of us, we'll hunt you down and punish you. Right, guys?" After that, they all said, "Awesome 5," or "You bet." Then Mike said, "Okay, guys, to the point. What are we going to do at?" At which point I turned off the intercom, took the tape out of the system recorder and put it in my briefcase. I am not a stupid person. I didn't sit there and moan, "This can't be true. She loves me. I just know she does." Denial is not part of my character. One guy, and it might just be wishful thinking, but when 5 guys are talking about something they've already done, you're not going to wring your hands and say it must be some kind of mistake. The thing that angered me the most was that these 5 guys were supposed to be my good friends. We went fishing together, went on weekend trips to Vegas together, and played poker at my house every other Friday night. That's it, friends. And then there was Hillary. What happened to her? How did the blush leave the rose so quickly? Maybe she only married me for the money? To marry the owner of a company and be set for life? I didn't know and didn't want to find out. I would verify that it was true, and then she wouldn't know what hit her. The next evening, I called home from San Francisco at my usual time, and when Hillary picked up the phone, she sounded a little out of breath. I didn't pay attention to what she was saying because I was straining to hear the background noise. I thought I heard heavy breathing. Hillary and I made small talk for a couple minutes, each professing our love, and then we hung up. I hoped Bob had had a good time. It would be a shame to go through what was about to happen to him and get nothing out of it. When I got home, Hillary was waiting for me, dressed in my favorite outfit, a pair of shoes and nothing else. She asked if I wanted a drink or if I'd rather hurry to bed. Hillary was an amazing wife, and I would miss her, but I was realistic and knew I shouldn't start missing her until she was gone, so I threw my briefcase on the floor and started to undress. It was a long night, trying to make love to her to death, and as I was leaving for work the next morning, I thought again about how much I would miss her. The following Friday, we had our regular poker game. The reason for having the game at my house was simple, so I wouldn't have a problem getting home. I can't handle alcohol. I love to drink, I enjoy drinking, and I have a good time when I drink, to the point of passing out. When that happens, I'm dead to the world and nothing can wake me up. It was always like this. We'd meet at my house, play poker until I passed out, and then my friends would pick me up, put me on the couch, finish the game, and leave. On poker nights, Hillary, after declaring that she couldn't be around a bunch of loudmouthed men, would leave and go shopping or to the movies. Until a week ago, I had no reason to doubt that what she was saying she was doing was real, but now I wondered if she was even doing any of it. It seemed to me that if she was getting such a high from having sex while talking to me on the phone, she'd get an even bigger high from having sex while I was right there in the room. On Thursday, while Hillary was getting her hair done after lunch, I came home, set up 2 remote-controlled video cameras, and put the remotes under the cushions on the couch, then went to work. Friday at 7, the guys started arriving, and by 7:15, we were all sitting around the table ready to play. Hillary came into the room, kissed me, and told me she'd see me when I woke up in the morning, then left to go to the movies. "It's going to be a great night, boys," I said. "I can feel it in my bones." I broke the seal on a new deck of cards and we set to work. I raked the pot and muttered, "Good night, guys, no need to gamble, just give me your money." My usual drink is vodka tonic and lime, and that's what it looked like I was drinking, but there was only water in the glass. I took a sip of water, and when the glass was almost empty, I stood up and asked the guys if they were ready to pour more, then went and filled my glass with water and brought them their drinks. I won every 4th pot and was a real good time Charlie as I drank the water and acted like I was beaten in a blitz. 3 hours into the game, and in the middle of a losing hand, I did my usual fainting spell. Al got up and shook me awake, and I played dead. "He's passed out," Al said. "Help me carry him to the couch." Steve went over to help him, and Mike pulled out his cell phone and made a call. "He's out," he told whoever was on the other end. "Okay, babe, I'll see you in 10 minutes. She's on her way," he told the group. "Let's finish up with the game. Maybe we can even get 2 more done before she gets here." Bob, who was playing with the band for the first time, asked what they were going to do with me. "Nothing," Al replied. "He's what keeps us working." "I don't understand." "Just wait, young Bob, and wonder." 10 minutes later, Hillary walked through the front door, and as it closed behind her, I reached under the pillows for the remote that controlled the camera set up in the room. Hillary looked at me and said, "Guys, why do we have to go through this every time? You know you have to sit him on the couch to make it look like he's watching." Steve and Bob came over and rearranged me so it looked like I was sitting and watching. While I was being set up, Hillary undressed and said, "Cut the cards to see who goes first." Al removed the oldest card, and Hillary asked him, "What do you want, lover?" "I want to have sex with you." Hillary moved around the table, and through squinted eyes I saw her lean forward over the table to look at me while Al did his thing. It went on like that for a few minutes, and then EI finished. Then it happened again as they all took turns having sex with her. Do you like it, Chuck? Do you like sitting here while all your buddies are servicing your wife? By the end of 2 hours, I had had more than enough. And then, like a gift from the gods, Hillary said, "God, but I so wish you could see this, Chuck." I couldn't miss it. I stood up and said, "I'm not God, Hillary, but I can grant your wish." Hillary's face turned ashy, and I didn't even bother to look at my so-called friends. I addressed the room as a whole. You all keep having fun, and I'm going to go to the den and start the paperwork to fire 5 former employees and 1 ex-wife, and left the room. 5 minutes later, I heard the front door open and close. 20 minutes later, Hillary entered the room wearing an old terry cloth robe. She sat down on the leather couch and watched me work on the computer. I paid no attention to her, and after about 5 minutes, she said, "You're not going to divorce me, are you?" "Of course I'm going to. It would be a lot cheaper if you didn't. If you divorce me, I'll have to hire a lawyer, and it'll end up with me giving you the cleaners. No divorce, no lawyer, so it won't cost you." "Why do you want to stay?" "Because I love you." "Yeah, right. That was obvious to me the other night." "You just didn't realize what you saw." "What's not to understand? You had sex with 5 of my so-called friends for 4 hours and humiliated and ridiculed me the whole time." "So? What do you mean, so what?" "I didn't mean a word of it, and you should know that. You've probably guessed by now that it wasn't the first time. After any other poker game, have you noticed any coldness? Any lack of affection?" "No, I haven't. But I try to gouge your eyes out every chance I get. I love you, Chuck, but I need more sex than 2 or 3 men can give me. I've found that conversations like tonight turn men on, and they last longer. When you go out of town, I always invite 1 or 2 men over to keep me busy, and they usually do me when I talk to you on the phone. But that doesn't mean I don't respect you, Chuck. It's just what gets them fired up, makes them go faster and stay longer. That's it, Chuck. It's sex, not love, just sex. I love you, and I don't care about any of these people." "That doesn't change anything, Hillary. I'm old-fashioned about some things, and one of them is that my wife is mine, and once she's not mine, she's not mine." "Don't do that to yourself, baby. I'm not going away quietly. Guys like my body, and even if you take them down, they'll still want to make love to me, and I can get them to back me up in court. It'll be 6 of us against you alone, and we'll all swear you were drunk out of your mind and made the whole thing up. Leave it alone, baby, leave it alone and let me work on you. I'll prove to you that I love you." "You love me? But you're willing to go to court, perjure yourself, and try to make me look like a hysterical fool? That doesn't add up, Hillary. It's the only leverage I have to get you to drop this divorce thing. I don't want to do it, Chuck, but if I push you far enough and hard enough, I hope I can get you to back off." "Sorry, Hillary, but you're damaged goods as far as I'm concerned." "Okay, baby, but don't say I didn't warn you." "Okay, Hillary, you did warn me. Just get out of the house by the end of the day." While she was in the shower, I got the cameras, took them into the room, and turned them on. Everything was taped, and clearly enough that I could identify all the players. I spent the night in the guest room, and at 6 in the morning I left the house for my usual Saturday morning golf date, played 18 holes, and when I got home, Hillary was gone. Hillary was gone. So I sat down at my desk and made a list of what I needed to do first thing Monday morning. I spent the rest of the weekend at the house picking up all of Hillary's things I could find and moving them into the garage. I made 3 copies of the videotapes I had of the aftermath of the poker game and locked all the tapes in a safe in my den. Monday morning, I fired Bob, Joe, Al, Mike, and Steve and set about finding replacements. In the afternoon, I called the company lawyer and asked him to recommend a good divorce attorney and met with him 2 days later. I told him the whole story, handed him the 2 original tapes, and told him I wanted their existence kept secret for as long as possible. I told him what Hillary had told me about getting all my former friends together and getting them to lie in court. I wanted these assholes to do it and then hand them the tapes to see them nailed on perjury charges. Hillary did what she promised. She complicated the case as much as she could. Acting on the theory that there can be no divorce unless the papers are served, she disappeared. 6 months passed, and then I got a call from her. "Have you come to your senses yet? Have you missed me? Have you finally realized that I love you and don't want a divorce? Come on, honey, we can talk this out and put it all back together. I know we can." I was on the verge of hanging up when it hit me. "You're right, I miss you, but I don't see how we can get back together after what you did." "That's exactly why we need to talk, honey." "Okay, Hillary. When and where? Can't I just come home?" "I don't know. Please, honey." "Well, I don't think it would hurt if you tried. When?" "Tonight. The sooner the better." "Okay, tonight then, but I'm not promising anything." I watched from the window as Hillary pulled up to the house, got out of the car, and saw a man get out of a car parked across the street, intercept Hillary as she walked, and hand her the divorce papers. When he left, she walked up the walkway to the porch, and I met her at the door. She waved the papers at me. "How cold." I did my job. "So, you're not going to talk to me?" "I have nothing to say that hasn't already been said." "It doesn't matter to you that I love you and don't want to divorce you." "No. You said it yourself the night I blew you off. You said you needed more sex than 2 or 3 men could give you, and I wouldn't stay married to a cheater. Do I miss you?" "Yes. But that doesn't change the fact that you cheated on me wholesale and with a bunch of assholes who were supposed to be my friends. I'd never trust you again, and I can't live with someone I can't trust. If you file for divorce, Chuck, I will destroy you. I don't want that, but I will do whatever I have to do to stop this divorce." "I'm only going to say this once, Hillary. If you go to court with these assholes and lie, I will ruin every one of you. So far, all it's cost them to stab me in the back is their job. If they go with you and lie, I'll make you all pay." Hillary started to say something else, but I closed the door in front of her. Hillary hired a lawyer, and the dancing began. Her lawyer demanded, and my lawyer objected, and this went on for a while, neither side conceding an inch. And finally, the case went to trial. I told my side of the story, and then Hillary and the 5 assholes stood up and told the story she said they would tell. The judge said it was like a he said, she said situation, only she had support, and I didn't. At this point, my lawyer said we had all the evidence we needed, and he produced the tapes, some prints made on them, and the audio from the conference room. The judge pulled both attorneys, Hillary and I, into his chambers and started whipping us for not cleaning up all the trash before coming to his court. "You had tapes and you could have disclosed them and not dragged this farce into my courtroom." At this point, I interrupted the judge and told him I would not allow my attorney to disclose. I wanted everyone to see what a lying fool Hillary and 5 of my former friends were, and the only way to do that was to bring them into court and let them lie in front of God and everyone and then prove they were liars. The judge called a recess, and I left the courtroom and made a phone call. That same day, a courier service delivered copies of everything I had to the wives of these 5 assholes, as well as Hillary's mother, father, sisters, brother, and her 2 living grandparents. That was 3 months ago, and the divorce was final. The only thing Hillary left from the marriage was what she brought to it, her maiden name. Steve somehow managed to save his marriage, but the other 4 are now in divorce court, and they are in no good shape like me. I haven't heard a word from Hillary since she called me the day after our day in court and called me every vile name she could think of. How could you be so low as to send these things to my family? I warned you that if you lied in court, I would destroy you. You should have known me well enough to realize that I would carry out my threat. You lied, and I made sure you paid for that lie. And I hung up the phone. I got rid of her, and I guess I should be glad, but why do I keep thinking about her and feeling so miserable? The end! Subscribe to my channel. Thank you.